एक मिनट पहले मैं बोल देता हूँ मैं कह रहा हूँ
Hello and good afternoon to everyone. I'm sure everyone is super excited and eagerly anticipating the start of the hackathon. But before that commences, we bring to you a really fun and gripping session planned for you all, and we would love you all to participate. My name is Vaishnavi Rathore, and I'm on behalf of Computer Society of India, VIT Vellore. It's my pleasure to introduce you to someone, Mr. Rahul Sasi, the founder of CloudSEK, who will be sharing his journey with cybersecurity and entrepreneurship with all of us. CloudSEK is the leader in artificial intelligence driven digital risk protection service. Having raised $7 million as a part of their Series A funding, they have consolidated their place as leaders in cybersecurity space. We are elated to have Rahul Sasi with us, and I hope everyone learns a lot from him and interacts with him thoroughly.
Hey,
Mr. Sasi,
thanks.
the
Yeah.
founder and chairman of CloudSec. Rahul Sasi, to you.
Hey, hi. Thanks, Vaishnavi. Thanks for the introduction. I don't know how many people are there right now, but I would love to make it more interactive. Uh, and I think the interactions are going to be on the chat, right? I assume. Okay. The interactions would be on the chat. Before I start, let me show you a quick magic trick, right? A magic trick. And I need a volunteer, by the way. Vaishnavi, apart from you, is there anyone else who could come on the stage, be the face, or I'm fine with you as well, but is there a volunteer I could get?
Yeah, there will be a volunteer. Just
I'm going on stage, yeah. A volunteer who understands, maybe. uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, any volunteer is fine. You have someone? It's okay. It's not. It's going to be a very, very simple trick. Yeah. Hi. Do you want to just quickly? Hi. What's your name? Hello. Yeah. Mute. It's okay if that person. I'm fine with Vaishnavi as well. Um, Vaishnavi, this is not a staged performance, right? I mean, this is the first time you're interacting with me.
right, yeah. I'm really excited as well. So,
Okay, awesome. Vaishnavi, I have a card in front of my hands, right? Over here. Okay, wait, let me show you. Right.
yeah.
Wait, I'm just trying to hold it in the right thing, right?
No
And
problem.
if I were to say, what would you prefer, red or blue? What would you say? Wait,
Red.
red. And if I were to change, if I were to change to blue, would you say no or yes or no?
I wouldn't mind. So I would say it's fine. Okay, change to blue if you wanna.
Change to blue. I'm saying you're fine with changing this card to blue, right? That's what I'm trying
Right.
to find. Thing. That is blue now, right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to change it back to red again?
Go ahead.
Now that you are, now that I got your attention. In fact, I think I would have got half of your team's attention, right? Again, watch
Definitely.
this closely. Right? I'm gonna change as per Vaishnavi's suggestion. I'm gonna change from red. Watch closely, right? I mean, trying to watch closely. I'm gonna change from red to the color which she wants, right? And I'm actually in my room. There's no magic gimmick, no setups, nothing. But anyways, the point is, I just wanted to grab your attention so that we are focused. Uh, the CloudSEK, we kind of try to make our work as much fun as possible. Um, the primary objective of the company is to actually build technology that can predict cyber threats before it even happens. Uh, I mean, and if you might be confused, how is it that possible, right? You're predicting future, we still don't have technology. But if you look at weather, right, we as of today, humans can accurately predict how much it will rain, where it will rain, when it will rain, right? How do we do that? We pass historical data of rain through a mathematical model or a machine learning model, right, which gives these predictions on about rain, which is the same thing we are trying to do at CloudSEK. We 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 build technology that can help humans predict a cyber attack before it even happens. And we are assembling an elite team of ninjas who could build and make the future. I don't have any particular agenda. I haven't come prepared on what I should be talking. Rather, I do have a little bit content on how to build startups, which is what I've been doing for the last 6 years. My life, all my life, I have been. 1 minute, just let me share my screen. A little bit of introduction about me. I spent. I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all my life, I've only done one thing, which is cybersecurity. I quit college uh, in my seventh semester to work for a cybersecurity startup. This is back in 2010. I quit because I saw a lot of potential to the startup at that point of time, and I thought, education means learning and knowing things than a piece of paper. Um, and that's why I made that decision. Today, that startup is part of Google. They got acquired by Google. But long before that, I moved out of that startup when worked for Citrix, and before founding CloudSEK. Um, before founding CloudSEK, during uh, my life as an individual contributor, I got the opportunity to travel to almost 22 plus countries as an invited speaker in cybersecurity. Uh, yeah, so that's pretty much all I've been doing. I mean, if anyone, if there is a volunteer who could just quickly, raise your hands and tell me what do you want to listen to, I will talk about that, right? If you want to stick to, my own course of talk, which I think it's better if I interact with you. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's something to learn from you guys than me talking for 15-20 minutes. Uh, so yeah, anyone, any questions? I think people are shy, I suppose. It's okay, I mean, um, there are no stupid questions. Asking um, something, you should always be curious to ask. I'll post the questions here once it's there on YouTube. Oh, so the people are on YouTube, so they have to post there, huh? Okay. Are you more passionate about cybersec or startups? Well, I mean, okay, see, the thing about passion, right? Everyone, okay, first of all, it's very important to find your passion, right? It's very important to find your passion because that is what will lead you in your journey in the world. Well, you're going to live, what, 80, 90 years, let's say 70 to 90 years. If you don't find something which you enjoy doing, well, it's going to be difficult. And if you can find something which you can enjoy doing and find that your full-time job, then your time is going to be really, really great. So now, so for me, I was able to find my passion for cybersecurity very early on. Um, so I would say anything in cybersecurity, I would always do it with all my heart. Startup, because I've also realized that if you want to achieve something great, well, you can be an individual contributor, and but if you want to go really far, right, you have to go together as a team. So startup is actually what, a group of people trying to go very far, right? So um, so yeah, I'm passionate about cybersecurity. Startup is because I want to lead a group of passionate people to somewhere very far. So that's the answer. I want to know about bug bounties. Yeah, I want to know about bug bounties. See, at this point of time, bug bounties are a good mechanism for you to learn something about cybersecurity and earn some money as well, even though that is not the only option you have. Uh, at the same time, bug bounties should not be, money should not be the driving factor. You're too young, right? Too young to actually be thinking too much about money. Rather, you should be thinking about doing things that would have a huge impact. Money would become a byproduct and it will eventually come. So when it comes again, the question of bug bounty, yes, you can do bug bounty, but that should purely be to learn something new, not because of the monetary benefits at this point of time. Because if you get sucked into the monetary benefits part, you would eventually get diverted. Are CTFs a good way to start off with cybersec? Yes, absolutely, right? Any any mechanisms to any mechanism that will help you solve challenging puzzles is a good way to get into cybersecurity. Because in cybersecurity, you are solving new and interesting problems on a daily basis. Things you wouldn't have encountered because it's a very dynamic space, right? On one hand, there are bad guys who are trying to attack. I would not call bad guys. There are one set of people who are trying to infiltrate into your network. On the other hand, there are people who have to defend the infiltration. Both these groups have to equally put efforts to do their job, which makes it um, which makes it very similar to medicine, right? New and new variants of viruses would come, and the doctors need to keep up mm, with what is happening. Starting, you should put your name as well. Sai, if you could put their name also, right? That would be really cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, because uh, startup idea. Yeah, but so I mean, whoever posted that question, right? You should reach out to that person because he is looking for teammates for his startups. And I would say, this is the best time to start something. I mean, uh, how would I say? How do you okay, why is this the most important point? Because this is the time you can make as much failures as possible, right? And how do you get good ideas for a startup? Well, um, for instance, how many people have ordered food using Swiggy or Zomato? Vaishnavi, you would have obviously done that, right? And I'm pretty sure.
Just last night. So I guess everyone probably.
Yeah. And how comfortable were you with the packaging of the food? Was it messy? Was it a very comfortable packaging that you're, oh well, this is good? Or have you gone through that experience where things are very messy?
Yeah, there have been, but I feel for most it has been very well organized. I just open the packaging and I have my food ready at my comfort. So
Yeah. So you're saying most of the times your journey has been good. I mean, your experience has been good, but there are a bunch of times your experience was bad,
yeah, obviously for
right?
any situation I could do.
And
Yeah, exactly.
and every time the experience was bad, did you think about solving it, or you just brushed it aside and then moved on, right?
Definitely
The,
there have been times like you would think about it. You would be like, how do I make it better? Because I would not be the only one going through it.
yeah, absolutely, right. And that is how you actually find startup ideas, right? The thing with the thing is that on a daily basis we will find silly problems, which we think, well, yeah, it's silly, but we brush it aside. But these are the problems which multiple other people will be facing. So if you can deeply think about these problems rather than brushing it aside, then comes good ideas, right? And then it's about finding the other set of people who have this common idea problems and selling it to them. um, for instance, a very simple company which came out of the US was called Sponge Daddy. What it does is the dishwashers which were in the home, the scrub which you use along with the dishwashers, normally were not very firm. They kind of were flimsy and doesn't it gets the work done, but not well enough. So what the guy made is he made little high quality, hard um, scrub, and then that company kind of does 20 to 30 million dollars in revenue. Again, the point I'm trying to make is every problem you face on a daily basis, if you think about it, you can convert that into a business solution because other people are also facing it, and they'll buy it.
Right. I think there's one more question from Soresh Gupta. He asked, should a person who made the application test it for vulnerabilities or should have a third party to do this?
Yeah. No, sure. See, you have to understand. It is very difficult to criticize your own work, and it's an inability for many people. For instance, let's say you you drew a picture, or picture might be a difficult example. Let's say anything which you do on a daily basis. Let's say uh, um, you participated in a competition, and end of the competition, okay, you would need someone else to come review that competition and say, well, you did these many problems, right? It is difficult for you to look at each of those things and fix it, because if you knew that, you didn't need a third party to come say, well, this is how you performed in the test, because then you would have done that in the test itself. It's an inability for you to understand your own problem, which is the reason why you need a third party invigilator or a validator. Otherwise, you would have performed in the test very well. It's the same, which is the same that goes to uh, cybersecurity testing. If you build an application, your mind will by default think that I have taken enough care of everything, which is kind of a um, psychological thing, because you thought enough about it, and now you're trying to fight with your own mind whether it's good or bad, which is why you need definitely an external validator to test, to overcome that psychological difficulty.
Right. Yep. We have a lot of questions, like people that are from the basics and who are freshers. So another question is starting off with web development and later specializing in cybersecurity an option?
Yeah. So first of all, guys, cybersecurity is okay. I'm just going to the hackers concept, right? You can break a door or lock. Let's say a lock, right? If you you can break a lock if you know the working principles of the lock, which is what the key makers or the key breakers do, right? They can open the door because they know how the function of the door is. So I would say a good hacker knows good engineering, good well enough about the technology, and that is the only way he could actually think how to break it. And I would say, personally, I spent a good amount of time building things, um, and then I got into cybersecurity. So the first many years of college, I would say the first 1 to 3 years of college, I've been trying to build things on my own, which gave me a good understanding about cybersecurity concepts.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Right. We have another question from Medansh Lo-Fi. Again, it's from a fresher getting to know cybersecurity. What is the hardest part to learn cybersecurity? And secondly, how does one start with cybersecurity in a proper and secure way?
Yeah. How does um, how does one start cybersecurity in a proper and secure way? Well, just don't do anything illegal, right? That is the that's the that's the safest way. Um, if you have temptations to do illegal, I can't answer this because it's a public forum, but I would say stay away from anything which is illegal. But at the same time, there's a curiosity to learn more things, right? So figure out a way to quench your curiosity as well. Oh man, so these are questions or my internship. So came up with an idea how you would suggest we gain at conference. You drop every. Also, so the question is, well, you always have ideas, right? How do we know? How do we gain enough confidence to to drop everything and focus on that, right? I think that's what the your question is. I would say, you know, your instincts have a lot of, right? Your instincts, the way your instincts work is based on a lot of information your brain processes over time. That's how your instincts can see, certain things. So it's more like, it's more like you fell in love, sort of, right? I mean, and you're very confident that you are in love. That's the very similar concept. You're very confident that, well, this is what I want to do. So I would say learn to trust your instincts. Yeah.
Right. Next question: how to start learning cybersecurity on your own? Like, what resources would be perfect for
Community.
learning it?
Community is the most and the best way to learn cybersecurity. Figure out all the cybersecurity communities which are out there, be part of them, uh, contribute to them, learn from them in the process. Because in the community you'll have other seniors also, right, who are working for other companies, right, and who are actually looking out for people to hire. So when you are demonstrating your talent in the community, they will obviously reach out eventually to you for opportunities.
Right. I think following up, this would be a good question. Sarah asked, could you recommend some good sites or communities to learn cybersecurity?
um, yeah, there's plenty, by the way, right? I think I'll ask the team to share a list with you,
Right.
post this show, right? Rather than me speaking about it. Yes.
That would be great. And then we have another one from Pratyaksh. What are your views on using blockchain as a technology for cybersecurity? And do you think blockchain has a future?
Um, Again, see, I mean, there are so many applications about blockchain, right? It's not in particular in cybersecurity. Uh, in cybersecurity itself, see, blockchains is very useful when you have to protect the integrity of a transaction. That's the best use case, right? I mean, uh, you have data sets which should not be tampered, even if someone get access to that data. For example, think of, you have a database, right, and the database have all your attendance. uh, Now there is a bunch of hackers who have the capability to get access to your attendance, and he can change. So the concept of blockchain helps that even if he changes those attendance, it is very evident that it's changed. So protecting the integrity is, any problems which you need to protect the integrity is where a blockchain sort of technology comes into play. I've seen many people trying to push blockchain into, just to create a buzzword when you really don't need blockchain itself for that problem. But this is where it fits wonderfully well.
Right.
Yeah.
Another question from Kaushal Rathi is, why is it assumed that open source projects are generally more secure, considering the fact that it's easier for practices or malicious practices to find vulnerabilities?
So again, it's okay. So first of all, um, okay, this is a bit of a this is a little bit of explanation. It is not that open source codes are secure, right? There are still bad open source codes which are never audited or which are insecure, right? The concept of security which we are talking about is that there are enough people who have looked into this code and have resolved the security issues already, rather than the programs which are never looked at all, right? So it's more like, open source codes have been, or at least the primary open source code, for example Linux, have been looked by different hackers already and eliminated a bunch of problems. Whereas a Microsoft code which has never been looked at by public, rather only by the internal security team, has more threat, will have more threat, is the point. Which is why I said, there will be certain open source codes which are never audited by anyone will still pose a higher threat. So that is the key.
Right. And there's another question from Jumanji. What is the best part of cybersecurity and what makes it so interesting? A
I
perfect
love the
question.
name. Is
Yeah.
that the name, or is that the real name, or like the fictitious name, I suppose, right?
Could
Okay, hi.
probably do a
Yeah,
quirky
yeah,
name that person came up with. So
yeah. Uh, yeah. So if you're a guy who, if you're a guy or a girl who's very interested in taking no for an answer, right? In cybersecurity world, you'll always get someone say that, well, this is unbreakable, or this hacker is very difficult to be identified, or this technology will have zero flaws because it's built by a big company. If you hate to take no for an answer, uh, and you always like to prove people wrong because they could be wrong, um, then this might be the bright field, and you might find it interesting.
Right. I think you as you mentioned, proving people wrong, and there is a question because you mentioned of how you dropped out of college. So Kush asked, you said you dropped out of college in your seventh sem. What was it like, and how did you get from there to here? Because you're
Yeah,
obviously gonna hear opinions of people and all of that. So
yeah,
how did you deal with that?
yeah. So after dropping out of from college, I was super scared. I didn't tell my parents. I went to Mumbai. That was, take up the job. By the time I reached there, the company which offered me the internship had offered it to someone else because I was late in a way. Then I had to take another job. But what I did is I moved into a slum sort of locality where the monthly rent was somewhere 3,000 rupees per day, and this is back in 2010. I did this because I wanted to focus all my time on doing research, and I didn't want any sort of distraction. So I lived in this place for for almost an year, um, and it's just like a tiny. It would not be even close to your dormitory, by the way, right? Um, and from there, I started researching on unique topics, which were that came to my interest. And by the end of 8 months, I was able to publish my first white paper, and I submitted that to a large international conference. I got accepted in that conference, and that's my first international trip. I traveled to Amsterdam, uh, HIDB Amsterdam, sorry, Black Hat Amsterdam, to give this talk. Um, and you know, I enjoyed the whole process, and I knew that, well, I could do this over and over again. So I continued this whole fifth mechanism for the next 5 years. So I spoke, like, that's what I said. I spoke to almost 22 plus countries, more than 30, 40 conferences. Uh, this made me connect to the world. This made me know people. This made me a little bit influential in the cybersecurity. Gave me a lot of confidence. People all around the world are very similar to us, right? They might have better infrastructure, but they are not smarter, right? Whether someone's sitting in the US or the Europe, anywhere is fine. They're not smarter than us. They have better infrastructure, but we are equally capable, to them. So when this confidence came, which is, I would say, the biggest experience or learning for me, my confidence boosted. And I knew, well, I was on the right track. So this is what I did.
Right. So I guess follow-up question Arjun Khanna did have. Do you think dropping out was a good decision? And I think you did answer that. And another follow-up question is, would you recommend it to someone you know?
No, I mean, again, see, I wouldn't see. It is difficult, right? For instance, my job at Citrix, I was the first guy to get hired at Citrix. But even when I completed all the interview rounds, they had challenges. The team had challenges in getting me. So my manager, then manager Mrutyunjay, he had to literally go to all the higher ups and all the way to the MD to convince him that I should be hired. Now, this wouldn't have been difficult if I had a degree, right? Um, so the question is, it's not about whether you should have a degree or not. If you don't have a degree, things are only going to get difficult. But it's always about what do you want in life, right? What is that way? What is it that you want to achieve? Um, you can do anything without, irrespective of any disabilities you have. You can always achieve what you want, but you'll have to put more efforts than other people. Is the problem? So yeah,
Right. Yeah. And another, I think, as a fresher, and I guess this would be the perfect question. Manan Goyal asked, how do you find, or how would you suggest someone to motivate themselves when you reach a barrier and feel that learning isn't really happening? I feel this does come up in every person's life, especially in college. Like, you reach a level of stagnation. So yeah, this question.
See, guys, the problem with college is you're learning 15 topics out of which you might only like one, right? So you're forced to learn something which you might not even have an interest in, which is why you are having this stagnation of learning problem. But I mean, have you seen dancers, right? I mean, let's say someone is interested in dancing, and I've seen people just love to dance over and over and over again because that's something which they enjoy doing, and it's just one thing. So again, this goes back to the thing, right? You need to pick certain things which you're absolutely passionate about, and don't get bored, irrespective of how many times you do it. When you find that one thing, and everyone has that one thing, right? And the question is, what would you do? What is that one thing you will do, even if you don't get paid, right? Some people will say eating, right? Some people will say sleeping, right? Well, if it's sleeping, you should go work for a company who makes mattresses, and they have sleeping agents whose job is to do full-time sleeping, right? If your job is to allow drinking, well, you should be a wine tester for a large wine manufacturing company. The point I'm trying to make is, do that one thing you would love over and over and again.
Right. And another question from me is there anything you wish you could have done different in your past?
See, everything, right? I mean, everything we do, once you have done it, we know better ways of doing it. So then you're always like, well, yes, I could have done it better. The fact is, you don't know. And there is no point in cribbing about it, right? Because there's no time travel. You can't go all the way and then change things. But the thing is, every day, know that there is new things you have discovered. Apply that, write them down, apply them the next time you do something similar. There's no point at all feeling bad about it. I mean, you can, maybe when you're getting drunk, you can just complain about it for a few minutes, but no, nothing more, nothing less. That's it.
Right. Then Aditya asked, how do you see cybersecurity evolving now that Web3 comes into the picture?
Not just Web3, right? I mean, think from the concept of right now we interacting with the internet using a web browser. That's the only way we interact. Web browser or mobile app, right? This is the way we interact with the internet. But 8 years down the line, it could be VR, right? We would be using a virtual reality sort of system, a Google Glass sort of system to interact with the internet. So it's no more a browser, just it is bit different technology, right? So every decade, there is a technological change that brings a huge revolution, and Web3 is, I would say, is a part of it, right? I would say the bigger is a AR or VR sort of thing, where I believe that is the way we will interact with the internet more. When that comes, well, the threat landscapes also changes. Uh, so yeah, it's very important that you know what is happening. Any groundbreaking new things, you should always go dig, especially the Web3, right? You should be very relevant.
And I think everyone's intrigued by your path that you followed, of how you really took a drop, or like you
Yeah.
dropped out from your seventh sem. So there's another question relating to that, an entire concept of dropping out in college. Why is our college syllabus getting more and more outdated? And it's asked by Arjun Khanna. So yeah.
No, I don't have an answer to that. By the way, I don't know. There is a debate. I've been part of multiple debates where I've been told that these all have been well thought through, because they want students to know a little bit of everything. I am of a different opinion. Maybe you might not need to know everything. you know Maybe you can know one thing, and while in the process of knowing that one thing in depth, you can learn other things as well. So this is my personal philosophy about learning. um, uh, you know so I don't know. I mean, maybe you should grow up, start your own college, Arjun.
True. I think this is a question that's it's usually a very debatable topic, and it's like an end loop, because it's like tied with the education system, so you really can't change that. But what you could probably do is change your methods of learning, and along with that, you would have a question coming up from Rahul being like, "Hey, how do you manage internships and classes and exams and all of that?"
Yeah, I mean, so guys, I mean, so if your internship is interesting, spend more time there. If your classes are more interesting, spend more time there. Uh, there's no see. These are not things I would. It's very personal things, right? I mean, like I said, right? It's important that you do something which is because your life is today, right? This right. The minute right now is your life, so it's important that you enjoy what you're doing, whether it's your classes, whether it is hanging out with your friends, whether it is doing programming, whether it is hacking something, you enjoy it, you do it. As simple as that. Um, Many people think, your life is after college, or people once they get their job, they are like, well, if I get this promotion, I would be happy. Or if I become a founder of a company, I would be happy. No, I mean, everything you do now, do it with dedication and with pure love. That is good enough. And that is what I would suggest, do what you think, what you feel like doing, do that. Hey, so
Yeah.
it'll be a kind of overtime, or it's been like 40 minutes, 42 minutes actually.
I think we can take up a few questions. Actually, I had a question to you
Yeah.
because I see an amazing collection of books, and I do know that everyone like to reach to somewhere, you have to be a reader. And because I see a collection, if you had to pick out three top recommendations from your library, what would it be?
Yeah. So okay, I have a wide collection of books, right? It's not one particular. I have a book which talks about how the plants, right? How plants grow, evolve, etc., etc. I have a book which talks about psychology and magic. How your brains function. I have a book which talks about the economics. So, if I were to talk about one book, uh, for me personally, one book I liked was a book called Built to Last, and this primarily helped me in shape building a company. And the book talks about the long-term thinking you need to have, not you, long-term thinking other visionary entrepreneurs had when they built their companies. Uh, so that is one book I personally liked. Uh, and the book which I'm currently reading is to do a lot with mental blocks. And I'll tell you, I'll put one mental block right in front of you, and this question is back to you, Vaishnavi. Right? If I
Okay.
have a coin, if I have a coin in my hands, right, I'm going to toss the coin. I'm going to toss the coin 6 times.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the chances of getting a head, tail, head, tail, and head, or head all times head, or all times tails? Which of these, which of these three have the highest probability?
I think all of them have like equal chances. It's a 1:1:1 ratio because it's six time heads, six time tails, six time heads and tails. So
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, correct. You're right. You're right, right. I mean, and absolutely right. And the people who, uh, so a bunch of people would have got head and tails um, as the highest probability, but in terms of tossing a coin, the probability is equally the same. You know,
Hmm.
it can be like you said, it can be head tails, or it can all the time be head as well, all the time be tail as well. But but this book talks about the mental blocks many people will have in making such decisions actually.
Right. I think now it can just be you. I think we have taken up a lot of questions,
Yeah,
and now it
yeah,
can just be you giving advice to all of us because we have
yeah.
budding students here.
So
So
actually,
it's up to you.
I, yeah, so I had like a prepared thing, but I kind of, you know, it's important that I listen to you, and because these questions are also helping me think a little bit, right? So
Right.
it's making me better than me just communicating what I think. And I think you can build amazing things when you are interacting than one-way communication. So very, very important, because that is the only way you could formulate great ideas, because uh, great ideas comes uh, from a collective contribution, which is kind of something which we try to do as much as in the company, which is something you should also inculcate. I've seen enough VITians. You guys are extremely smart people. Uh, you might have a lot of self doubt at this point of time. Some of you might be concerned of what is the future. Um, I would say don't. Just do what you like, and keep doing it. And keep doing it better and better every time. If for instance, if your job was to give a talk today, well, record the talk, play it again, see how you could have improved the talk, right? So that way, the next time you're going as a version two, right? So figure out a way to make better versions out of you, uh, and do things which you enjoy doing is my only advice. And I'll share my LinkedIn. Happy to connect with you guys. Uh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I think I can share, right?
Yeah, we can share. We can also have Sai share too.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Have it.
So
Right. It
that's
was
it. I think that's a good learning for me. By the way, I understood some of your questions.
You just checked out your LinkedIn profile. Great. I like how you emphasize, like, yes, I did drop out. I chose an unconventional path. You can do it too. Take a chill, find out, take your time and understand. So I think that's great. It was great having you with us and, sharing amazing and insightful keynote, just words with us. Because I believe it was just not about cybersecurity, but we discussed in general about, college life and how you could actually take up your learning process, which was a really good point about this session. And I think everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And Vaishnav,
yeah,
yes, sorry, I'm saying it was not my keynote. In fact, it was a collective VIT keynote, right? You guys are the
right,
ones who came up with content, not me.
right. So kudos to everyone.
Yeah.
So, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. We'll take them. And it was an amazing live interaction that we had with Mr. Sasi. Thanks for being so responsive with all our questions. And we will now be providing a link below for the swags and the goodies, which will be provided by CloudSEK to all the attendees present in the keynote today. So, do fill it out. Amazing. I'm going to do that. Make sure to follow us at CSI-VIT Instagram and Twitter handle to stay updated with other exciting events that we will be bringing on your way. We would like to thank everyone for the participation. Hope you had a fun and interactive session. And make sure you join at 9 p.m. for the hack. I'll be seeing everyone there. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you, Rahul.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Vaishnavi. Thanks, Atana.
Bye.
Bye,
Yeah.
bye.